Welcome to Political Empire, your source for inland politics news and analysis. I'm Jeff Horseman with the Press Enterprise, MP.com. Got something a little different for you today. First I'm sitting down instead of standing up, but we have with us longtime Press Enterprise columnist Dan Bernstein. And we hope this can become kind of a regular segment for us where we bring Dan on and also our other columnist, Cassie McDuff, to talk about what's going on. These are two columnists that have a lot of knowledge and experience, have been here a long time, and I think you'll appreciate their take on the events of the day. So, Dan, welcome. I won't say how long you've been here, but I think I was yet to be born. Sorry. But we do appreciate you coming on, and we'll jump right into it. You recently wrote about something that's I know has been a headache for me, and I think for a lot of people in Riverside. What's going on with that 14th Street Bridge and all the traffic and everything as it's under construction, and you found out some less than good news about that. I'll let you talk about that.
Well, thanks. Well, first of all, it's good to be here, and I hope this thing works out. I think it's a good idea. And I have been here since the Carter years, got here in 1976, so it's been a while. The bridge is, that's taking about as long to do as I've been here. It drags on and on. Now, the problem with any construction is that we don't know what the timetables are, and there are probably gotchas involved as well. But for years now, I think it's no secret to any driver in freeways or in town that the roads are torn up, grade separations, carpool lanes, what have you. And this particular choke point, the 14th Street Bridge over the 91 freeway, and this is all part of a big expansion. I think it's $232 million to get carpool lanes from Adams up to the big interchange at 91, 215, and 15. Well, they've been working at this for over a year, more than a year, and replacing the bridge half at a time. And the first half is supposed to be done now, we know, in the summer of 2013. It's not done. There's no hint of when it will be done. And this just delays and delays the project. Now Caltrans tells me that they have what they call constructability issues. And that actually turns out to be a word, but it's kind of an inside word. But I don't know what that means. It all has to do with this system of on-ramps, and you can't complete one ramp without the other, or open ramp without the other, or close one ramp without the other. But the bottom line is that opening this newly completed half bridge to motorists won't happen until probably the first of the year, even though it was supposed to be done a few months ago. And that means even when it does open, they'll be working on the other half of the bridge. So it could be closed another year or more. So we've got anyone who, as you do, travels this road to get to and from downtown, to and from downtown, it's a really big hassle. And that's what kind of got me onto it in the first place. You just step outside. We happen to be located on 14th Street, and the cars are just endless. You cannot see the end of the line sometimes. And it looks like that's going to go on for quite some time.
Yeah, I mean, and it just, seems, and I've only been here less than 10 years, but like a lot of places, anywhere you go in Riverside, there's construction, whether it's on the 91 or it's on, side streets or whatever. I mean, has it always been like this? I mean, have there been other like kind of boom periods of construction as Riverside's gone? And I mean, and how did those go? Was it easier to get around after all this construction or constructability wrapped up?
I don't think so. I think that, these are projects, they're huge projects, and the upside is that brings jobs to the community and the area, and that's why even people who dislike all that federal spending, when it comes to proving that in their own districts, they're jumping on the bandwagon because it's a good job, but it's disruptive. It's disruptive in and out of, off of freeways in town. Riverside's got a grade separation program that's been going on for years, millions and millions of dollars, and they're about to start another one. In the long run, you hope that everything is going to roll smoothly. But I think just the sort of history of freeways generally is that if you build them, or if you build a bridge, And there's a great book called The Power Broker about Robert Moses, who was a hugely powerful bureaucrat in New York. You build these things, and for a while, everything is smooth, and then they fill up again. And that's probably a little bit what we're looking at on the freeway. Look what they've tried to do in Corona over the years, and it's still a canyon with a lot of cars, and it's like trying to push too much through a little tube. However, I would say internally, intra-city grade separations, that's a little more promising. That does tend to free up traffic, and it's also important from a public safety standpoint too. So I suppose those things, those projects will really reap some benefits that motorists will see.
All right, well, moving on, even though we're not really moving on 14th Street, the Fox, if you want to talk about projects, that was the focus of a lot of city interest and spending to get that back up and running, and it's been on going for at least a year, a couple years now, I forget, but been some changes lately in terms of who's going to be running it, and I just want to kind of get your take on what's going on with the Fox. If you think the city's in the right direction, what do you think about this this new operator thus far?
Well, he doesn't. Live Nation, I don't think they take over really till December. So
okay, fair point.
they're you can just hope. Now, I guess probably anybody who's looking at the Fox, except for maybe the prior manager or the manager who's outgoing, would say the Fox has underperformed in the last couple of years since it's been reopened. It was a huge project, and I have to say, yes, because I've been around a long time, I followed the Fox for a long time, and I have in my column lobbied to get this thing redone for a long, long time. And there was a lot of times when people just wanted to go away, put it on the back burner, but they finally did it, and it cost a lot of money, and I think it's a beautiful place. And I think it probably will never be profitable, but not expected to be. We'll just have to wait and see about Live Nation. It's got a huge reputation. It's a huge promoter. Some people call it the Walmart of promoters, that the little guy doesn't have a chance anymore. But they do have a lot of juice, a lot of pull. And their challenge will be just like Bill Malone's challenge or anybody else's challenge, is try to assess the market and try to find out what kind of shows they can bring in here. They're going to attract people and make money for them and make money for the city. Now, a little bit of side note for that. The same week that Live Nation took over, Steve Martin came to town, to the Fox. Steve Martin and Eddie Brickell and the Steep Canyon Rangers. And they came for 2 days. One was a dress rehearsal and one was a performance. That was October 11th. Not only was it a performance, it was a tape performance by PBS. Their Great Performance series. It's a concert that's going to be aired in March. And I got a little curious to how they picked Fox. So I managed to get in touch with a gentleman named David Horn, who's the executive producer of Great Performances. He wanted to tape this show. He liked this show. He wasn't sure when he could do it. He wasn't sure how to put the deal together. And by the time he put the deal together, Steve Martin and the company had sort of been tapering off in September. They were going to get ready to go up again in October. So he takes a look at the tour list, and he sees that Riverside Fox is on it. He's also based in Europe and on his way out to California to kind of promote another PBS program. So he stops in Riverside. One thing about the Fox was that it's close to LA and they can bring a crew out here. But the other thing about the Fox, he hadn't seen it before, and he was really impressed with it. He thought it was beautiful, not just to look at, which it is. It's a great job, just for a viewer standpoint. But from a technical standpoint, he said the backstage stuff, from the dressing rooms to rehearsal rooms to the power, electricity that's needed to power lights and cameras and all that, is there. He didn't expect that. He said you get a lot of theaters that look good on the inside, they're really done up well, but the backstage stuff is really bad. So this is the kind of property that Live Nation has and that the city has. People who come and see it from the outside, people of that caliber, Great Performances caliber, which spent $500,000 to tape this show, they liked it. They think it's a great place. So that kind of puts a little pressure on Live Nation and the city. How can you mess this up? You know, there's a lot of problems. There's been a lot of, it's still kind of an early shakedown period, but it does have potential. And I think I'm guardedly optimistic about Live Nation. I've heard a lot good about them, but we've been down this road of expectations before, so we'll just have to see.
All right. Well, like I said, it'll be interesting to see what happens with it going down the line with Live Nation. And finally, the shutdown is over. The debt ceiling is raised.
Yes.
And while the government was shut down, it had a number of effects here in terms of closed national parks, furloughed workers, and so forth. You know, what I found interesting is I took a look at the how the inland congressional delegation voted, and with the exception of Duncan Hunter, a Republican who represents Temecula, is down in San Diego County, everybody voted for it, including Republicans Ken Calvert and Gary Miller. I just want to kind of get your sense of, you know, maybe why they did that and what that says about the area and you know, just, you know, what it says about the situation in general.
Well, I think they voted for it because they knew they screwed up. This was a dumb idea. They weren't going to overturn Obamacare. I think that Miller's in a Democratic district. He probably shouldn't have been elected anyway. The Democrats screwed up by loading up the primary. So he's got that to worry about. I don't know what Calvert's worried about. I think probably a little bit of getting primaried by somebody more conservative than he is, like Jeff Stone almost went after him for voting for that to raise taxes or stop the tax break for the rich folks. But they went for it because what good did it do? It did no good. In fact, it did a lot of harm. And if you're a Republican or anybody, and you talk about, if you go back to your district and say, hey, we just cost this nation $24 billion, that's not really any politician's calling card, especially Republicans. So I think they finally just realized that they messed up. Now, they won't admit it, I'm sure, but to me, it was just a waste of time, a waste of money. There are other ways to solve these problems they want to solve, and have we learned our lesson? Are we going to go through this again in January, February? Probably.
Well, that's not exactly the most optimistic view, but, you know, I think, you know, maybe a lot of people just fed up with Washington, or just, you know, maybe they're looking at it as, you know, here we go again. But we'll see. But in any event, thank you very much, Dan, for sharing your insight. We really appreciate it. Hope to have you on again.
All right.
And thank you, as always, for watching Political Empire. We'll see you next time.